Well, everybody, welcome to today's session. My name is Hagen Horn, and this is our second session of cyber wellness, and we'll be looking at practical strategies for cyber wellness in the classroom. And last time we met, if you were on the session or in the session a couple of weeks ago, we had Kaylin Marie, right? And she engaged with us about her experiences of cyber wellness and her knowledge of cyber wellness. And it felt a little bit like a podcast, like a talk show feel. And so this week we have the legend that is JC Van Willing. I hope I said your surname
You
right.
butchered my surname, my guy. You butchered it, but
Is
it's
it
fine.
Van Willing?
Van Willig with a
Van Willig with a
There we
silent
go.
N. Is there
See,
N in it?
it's an H at the end. It's powerful, man.
Okay, it's powerful. So if you don't know JC, right, he's been missing for a couple of weeks. We don't know where he's been, but he's been busy. JC is the NTA winner for 2024, eh? Western Cape
Former winner,
NTA
yes.
winner.
Former winner,
Former
yes.
winner, because we are now busy with the process of the next one. But JC still holds the title. He's got a lot of experience with regards to cyber wellness. He actually assisted in writing the material for cyber wellness. So he's a cyber wellness ambassador for the Western Cape. He's also a transformation agent, and he is a educator at Paro High School. So welcome, JC.
I wish I was introduced every time like that. Thank you, Aiken.
It's a pleasure. Okay, and as you know, my name is Hagen Horn. If you're on the last session, I am an educator at Aquila High School, also a transformation agent, also a cyber wellness ambassador. So JC and I are quite passionate about today's session. We're quite excited to share with you our experiences. We've been running the cyber wellness program under Hafisa Ismail since has it been June last year, JC?
Yeah, June side, June, July
More or
side.
less June side last year. Yeah. So the last time we spoke about a lot of things. JC, you weren't here, but it was a very, very good session. And I think a lot of the
Oh,
participants, we learned a lot and we grew a lot in terms of, cyber wellness. And so cyber wellness is not something that's spoken about enough. And so we should really share more about it and talk more about it to gain better understanding of, what it all encapsulates, right? So it's quite broad, and there's a lot of topics that we're going to be focusing on once again. Some of it we'll be touching on what we touched on the last time. But today I want to focus more on you, the educator, and what you can achieve with practical strategies inside the classroom.
why do I feel like I missed out on an exciting session last week or the week
Gracie,
before?
you missed out on an amazing session. It was relatively quiet. A lot of people didn't speak, they didn't share a lot, and I think they were just taking it in. But I'm hoping today that that you would be willing to engage with us, share some experiences that you maybe had in the classroom, outside of the classroom, um, experience that you are comfortable sharing with us. And if you want to say something, please raise your hand, right? And JC will notify me, and then we will either give you the opportunity to speak, right? And we will unmute you, or you can send on the chat if there's anything you want to share on the chat. And yeah, we want you to engage. This is not about us. As I said before, JC and I, we are also on this journey. Hey, JC. So we are still learning, right? And I
Yeah,
think,
we're learning every single day. Every day
definitely.
that we do a new session, someone adds valuable information or insight that actually broadens our knowledge. So that's why it's great to have these sessions where it's not just us providing our knowledge, but we're bouncing off ideas and trying to figure out this weird cyber world that we live in.
Yeah. So ultimately, we want to make the world a better place. And
Well, we're trying again, we're
yeah,
trying.
we're trying. So particularly this world, and we can't do it without you. So what are we going to be looking at today? Right. So we're going to be looking at cyber wellness in the classroom. We are going to be looking at the concept of digital citizenship, then designing engaging cyber wellness lessons, interactive tools and resources, and then we'll close with the Q&A. So yes, it's only 5 topics, but it's quite deep and quite broad, and there is a lot to discuss regarding it. And as I said, we've already revised regarding cyber wellness. So, JC, the last time we were on, we spoke about cyber safety, cyber ethics, cyber security. We also spoke about your identity online. And so there was quite a few things shared regarding identity and what you post and protecting your personal information. So being mindful of your online presence. And I think it was quite informative. Kaylin shared a lot of personal stories that she experienced, and it was a lot of I learned a lot personally.
Hagen, did you share your Facebook story?
Which one?
The one that
My
I love.
girlfriend left me. My girlfriend left me, but she didn't leave me. No, I didn't. Oh, I think I did. But I'll touch on it again. So yeah. But if we get there, we'll get there.
Please share, just share for the purpose of showing about your digital footprint.
100%. Okay. So first, what we're gonna do is we have discussed cyber wellness previously, and we've learned quite a bit about cyber wellness previously. And so what I decided to do was I set up a nice quiz for us. Right. So if you have your phone, you can scan the QR code. It's only 5 questions. If you're brave enough, you can put your name there. JC, I secretly played with last time and I won, but that was so unfair. I shouldn't.
You just love winning. That's your problem.
I'm a very competitive person. It is a problem. Okay, so if you have the time now, please take out your phone, please scan the QR code. If you don't have your phone with you, or if you're on your phone, then please type in the code. So it's joinmyquiz.com, and you can type in the game code. Right, so I'm going to jump quickly to our game.
Can I also just add that this is also one of the things that you can do in the classroom if they allow cell phones. Use this activity as an icebreaker or as introduction to cyber.
Definitely. So this is what JC and I do when we're quite nervous, because we were quite nervous today. So we decided, let's set up a quiz and let the quiz do the talking, hey?
Speaking for yourself, Hagen, I don't get nervous.
Oh, you don't get, sorry, NTA winner. Okay, right, I see a couple of participants jumping on. Let's just give it a little bit more time, right, before we start. JC, are you also jumping on? Let's test that knowledge.
I don't think I want to, because I feel like it's going to be unfair, because we created some of these slides. I want everyone else to win.
That is true. You know, if Bradley was here, Bradley would have said, I'm going to drop off something at your school for the winners. I remember this. So
Bradley is here, but I don't think he wants to answer that.
Unfortunately, no prizes today. But, you can have the first place prize if you're a competitive person. But this is a fun activity to play. And as I said, you can make up a pseudonym. You can give your real name. It strictly depends on you. And have fun with the game.
Right. I see more people joining. I see a lot more people.
How many people? We've got 7 people. JC literally named himself the GOAT.
That's not me. I thought he was playing along. My phone is dead.
Is that not you? Is that somebody pretending to be you?
There's a lot of imposters in this world. It's like today's session where people, what's it called? Fishing. That we're going to speak about later on.
Yes, we're going to speak about fishing. Not the fishing outside, eh?
Yeah, the scamming.
Okay. So is this not impersonation?
I feel like it is. It could be flaming as well.
Okay. I see Tenska's also there. Is it the Tenska I know? Is it another Tenska? But I see some familiar names there.
It is the one you know. It is
the one we know. Okay, so there's a couple of brave people out there. They're ready to go.
Let's start.
Okay, I see there's more people jumping on. We've got a lot more today, eh? 11.
And while we have time, please don't forget to do the register that's in the chat. A lot of you need the save points. So please do the register.
Yes. Those what is the TPDD points?
I don't know. You're the principal amongst us. You're the principal amongst us. You should know.
The principal, man. Heavy title. A lot.
That's the truth. Right, let's get it started.
Yeah, it's.
Here we go.
Check this leaderboard. Oh, that's on top.
Plus, this gives the competitive spirit in the classroom. So it provides learning, and they actually compete into who knows the most.
I see, this is like 100% all the time. I tell you.
Yes, it is.
Still going strong.
Baby's on a roll.
Baby streak. If you win, it doesn't count.
I'm not winning. I'm not even playing.
Okay, we've got Tienske right at the bottom. I think it's a case of the tortoise and the hare.
Wow, Hagen is doing that. A lot of you might not know that you actually get a paper version of this game, where
We do.
the learners get a QR code on paper and they turn it according to the answer A, B, or C, or D, and you scan it with your phone, and then it does the same scoring as it would do digitally. Right, but there is a session that someone is doing probably later this term or next term on quizzes. It's really great. I use it every day in the classroom actually.
That is so true. Hey, JC, you're still on top. I'm impressed.
That's not me, but yes, thank you to the imposter.
Okay, guys, JC doesn't really count. Okay, do we still have any more? Is anybody still playing? Are we
I,
done?
I think everyone is done, yes.
Okay, so well done to AB and Buster. JC, I'm not giving you any well done. So congratulations.
That's really heartbreaking, but thank you.
Okay, well done, guys. Well done. I hope you had some fun there and you learned a lot. But one thing I want to take from that is the fact that I could see that 2 weeks ago you were engaged, you were interested. You realized that this is a very, very important topic, a beneficial topic. And as JC said, just with regards to the quizzes, if you haven't used quizzes before, it's a lot of fun. And as he said, also this paper mode. If you do struggle with connectivity, I actually, funny enough, did it yesterday for QMS. I don't know if I'm allowed to do it for QMS. Yeah, I'm allowed to do it for QMS.
Yes,
I
you
didn't do it
are. As
for QMS.
part of your
Yeah.
interactivity.
And my principal was quite impressed with me. So yeah, if you want to show off a little bit for your QMS, there's something you can do, but it's great for the learners. The learners love it. So yeah, let's get into it. Right. So let's start and talk about digital citizenship. So digital citizenship is the ability to navigate our digital environments in a way that's safe and responsible and to actively and respectfully engage in these spaces. Now, I just want to use the word citizen. JC, to your mind, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about a citizen?
Someone that belongs to a country or is
That
raised
is
in a
it,
country.
JC. We prepped so well in our 5 minutes last night.
I
I
actually
love
guessed
the
that.
word belong. That's what it talks about. You know, it's a sense of belonging. It's a world you belong to. It's a country you belong to, a platform you belong to. And so, believe it or not, each and every one of us here is a digital citizen. If you have any online presence, you are a digital citizen. Whether you're using Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, even WhatsApp, you are a digital citizen. So you belong to a certain community, right? And so, with regards to belonging to this specific community, there is a massive responsibility that comes with belonging. And so, we think about it and we think about cyber wellness and we think about, our learners are on all these platforms. And so, last time we spoke about relating to them. And so, I want to remind you that it's easier to relate if you understand where you belong. And so if you're belonging to this community, you understand the community better. Do you agree, JC?
100% I 100% do I agree.
And so there's certain expectations, right? And so
Exactly.
as educators, there's a massive, massive responsibility that we have to educate on this digital landscape, to educate our learners, to make them aware. I think about, when when kids talk about school and they complain about school and they're like, sir, we're learning all of these things, but when are we ever going to use it? I love to tune the maths teachers and say, what was the point of me learning about angles? I can park, yes, and that's about it. But anything else, geometry and stuff like that, I don't know why. And so in the same way, they say that and they say, but can't we learn, how to do our IDs and our license and tax and all of these things? There's a responsibility for us to teach them about this digital world, this world that they are living in every day, this world that they are stepping into every day. And so, as they get older, they're just going to get deeper into this world because the world is changing. Everything is online today, right? And so most companies and people are going paperless. And so we need to be tuned in and understand this landscape so we can begin to educate. The same way we educate in the classroom, we need to begin to educate with regards to these various platforms. Now, I'm not saying if you don't have a Facebook account, go and open up a Facebook account. If you don't have an Instagram account, go and do that right now. Because I know there's many people that don't want to be on all of these platforms. But still, as an educator, it's your responsibility to educate. So, JC, have you been educating?
I have been educating. I'm not big on the social media thing, but I do keep up with the trends and what's new, just so that I can also have that interaction with the learners, understand their point of view when they're talking about social media. So I don't make the teacher TikToks that most of the influencers do, but I am on it just to see what's happening. That we still do the basics such as cavemen have.
We do. We do, right? And the something I put at the bottom is, unfortunately, the more we create and invent, the more rules we need, and that's the reality. We are creating this digital landscape, and it's evolving every day. But the reality is also is that we are but cavemen, and what do cavemen do? They act on impulse. They act on emotion. They act on all of these things, right? But they don't always use wisdom when they act out or make decisions. And so it's always impulsive. And so what this landscape does is it makes people impulsive. I've seen many times where people just say what they want to say in the moment, and they don't think about what they're saying. They post what they want to post, and they don't think about that too. And so when I say we are advanced cavemen, yes, we are highly, highly intelligent. But at the same time, we don't always apply wisdom, because there's a massive difference between having knowledge and having wisdom. And so they speak about emotional intelligence, and they speak about being wise. And so we need to apply wisdom to this world. And we need to train our kids up in wisdom with regards to this world. And that's very, very important. And I want to bring your attention to cyberbullying. And this is a massive talking point at the moment in schools. And I saw some things that even this week that your JC, it made me unhappy.
Are you going to provide the example?
I will provide an example, but I want to show a video first. And hopefully that video has sound, but if it doesn't have sound, I think
It's effective enough. It's effective enough
enough.
without
Yeah. We don't need the music. Maybe you can play something in the background just for a dramatic effect, but the video itself, it speaks for itself. So what is cyberbullying? It's when people use the internet or other digital tools to say mean things or threaten others. And as we speak right now, cyberbullying is going on. It's happening. And I always said, like, I'm so glad I'm not on all of these platforms, because I'm so away from all of these things. My identity is not shaped by what I see online. But the reality is that, again, I say this, if I want to shape the next generation, I need to be aware of what's going on online. And we're not going to get through all of them. And so if you want to take a photo, take a photo. You want to take a screenshot, and do some research on it yourself. So there's different forms. We think it's just those words. So one of them is flaming, which is arguments online, and people have a lot of disagreements online, and they say a lot of things online.
The Facebook comments, is flaming.
I had instances where people wanted to argue with me, but the reality about the online thing is it never ends. So I just never engage. And then we have this thing of denigration. I don't know if you've heard this before. So denigration speaks about rumors and gossips that spread. JC, I was coming home from an excursion, or driving back to school. I was sitting in the bus with the learners, and a group of girls decided we came back to school a little bit later than the rest of the learners when the school came out. And so our learners were walking home, and we saw one of the girls walking with a boy from another school, and the girls in the bus decided to take photos of her, and they were like, ons heta. And I was like, what does that mean? Can't you just leave this person alone and leave her in peace? Like, if she's friends with that guy, let her be friends with that guy. Don't take photos of it and post it. And I use that moment to kind of educate and say, look, what she does with her time is her time. But don't post things online and post gossip and post rumors online. So it's quite serious things that we are dealing with. Couple of other things, you know about impersonation, as you claim somebody impersonated you on that quiz. And if you've watched Catfish, you've seen a lot of impersonations. If you grew up watching Catfish, it becomes hectic. I've also been through, and I'm sure we've all been through the phase where we have chatted to someone online, met that person, and then it's not that person. And then it's like, this is very, very awkward. We have organized a supper together or a movie together, and I met you for the first time. Maybe in Tiger Valley, maybe in Canal Walk, and it's like,
You know, speaking from experience here.
JC, 100%, my friend. 100%. I'm a dreamer. And so I have met a lot of people, and I've met in person. I'm like, not the same person. Interesting. Or, yeah. But, you know, I'm a nice guy. And so I will act respectful in that moment, but you will never see me again. All right. And then we have, because we don't have a lot of time. This is a topic we can discuss the entire day. We have outing, where people kind of share each other's private information. These are things that are happening every day. And these are things that we need to start to educate on. Right. So let's talk about respectful communication. We spoke about this earlier. If you can see Bart Simpson, if you know Bart Simpson, you come from that time. He's saying, oh, yes, of course, that's what I meant. Visa. It's these new dentures. So clearly someone cannot hear him properly over the phone. And so that's what happens a lot of the time. JC, have you ever got into an argument with your girlfriend online?
Online, so meaning
Yeah,
over
like
WhatsApp.
Through a chat, yeah.
Yes, I have.
Was misinterpreted.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so horrible. So we need to speak about being clear online, being considerate online, being polite, and well, basically valuing different people, valuing different perspectives, and using the correct language. We need to educate our learners that the same person that you are in real life needs to be the same person that you are online. And so, because many things can be misinterpreted, right? Tone is a real thing. A lot of people say that, right? But also what we say and also how we say it, right? Couple of safety, online safety risks to also be aware of. Like I said again, take a photo or a screenshot, because these are things that we need to educate on. The same way our kids ask, can't you teach us about tax? And can't you teach us about, getting your license? The same way we need to teach about phishing, which is not actual phishing. It's about stealing sensitive information. We need to speak about grooming, those predators online, hacking, protecting your personal information, identity theft. So all of these things are very, very important. Also, password hygiene. JC, I hope you don't have the same password for all your profiles and all the accounts that you have.
Of course not. I change it every 4 months or something different, because I think that is the appropriate amount of time.
And many people don't. They're still stuck with the same password since the beginning of time. And they think it's fine and it's safe. You need to update your passwords. You need to change. You can't have everything be the same password, because if they hack one thing, they can hack everything.
Yeah, and I actually have a story about that. At our school, we all have school email addresses, and we've been hacked probably twice or thrice, and it's because people click on emails from unrecognized email accounts. So it does happen. It happens a lot, and then it shuts off our whole Wi-Fi because the firewall kicks in, and it's a whole thing. So today we also had one of those. So yeah,
I read 2 emails this week that I was like, who are these people? I don't have an account with you. I didn't buy this. And people do it, eh? So it's a dangerous world out there. So last time we chatted, you weren't here. We spoke about the digital tattoo. And obviously, when you speak about a tattoo, we view a tattoo most of the time as being something that is permanent. And so we forget that when we do post online, it becomes permanent, right? Kaylin gave us actually a positive view of it. So I don't know if you're typing there. Yeah.
Yes, I am.
We can hear you typing that essay. Right. So Kaylin gave us a positive view of it, where she posted photos of her father who had passed away, and it kind of immortalized the moment. So there are really positive things with regards to what you post, but then there's the flip side where there are negative things. And this guy I mentioned last time, Ronaldo Gous, he was a member of the DA. He recently lost his job, but he posted things online when he had a YouTube channel, and it was racial things. And so it came back to haunt him. And so we, in one of the previous sessions also, we had a teacher that said that she posted something online when she was a teenager, and everybody now knows her by what she posted. She's an educator now, and yet the children still go and search her. There was this girl who, she was in a fight with someone, and she posted these very, very hectic words that I cannot repeat, and they turned it into a song about how she's going to basically attack this other learner. And so she was on one of the shows recently, I think beginning of the year, and she's much older now. And she spoke about how she struggles to get a job, because the reality is, what our learners don't know is, companies go and look you up online. I can see on my LinkedIn profile, as soon as I do a session, people look me up. Who's this guy? What is he talking about? Is what he's saying real? You know, who is he really? And so this is a big thing our kids don't know about, and they're posting a lot of things today, and it might come back to haunt them. I don't know, JC, if you've got any experiences of that, or if anybody has any experiences of that they want to share. Nobody? JC?
I actually do in my class, especially when I speak to the learners. A lot of them have this notion that what they post now in their teens is not going to follow them into their adulthood. And then when I explain to them that a lot of the time people don't get good jobs because of their social media presence.
That's true. That's true, eh? That's true. Look at this. It's, if you look on the screen, it says your personal brand. It's who you are, you know, what you present, it's your identity. And so people come to know you by your online presence. And that's
And
how you
kids think if you just delete your account that everything disappears. They forget that it stays on the internet forever.
stays on the internet forever, and that's the reality. And so we need to be very careful online, but we also need to educate online. And we need to sometimes share experiences with our kids to make them realize that, yeah, we've been through it too. You know, it didn't just start with you. So what can we do to help? Right. So the first thing we spoke about the last time is introducing a policy on cyberbullying at school. We spoke about introducing a policy on cell phones, but also introducing a policy on cyberbullying. And so it's important for you to go back and to have a look at all of those terms and to study those terms. It's really difficult to remember because we don't use it every day, but it's things that's happening every day. What do we also need to do? Promote a positive and safe classroom culture. I spoke about the fact that our learners are going through things every day. They don't come to us. And the question is, why don't they come to us? They don't come to us because they don't feel safe. Why don't they feel safe? Because they feel like we don't know. They feel like we are out of touch with reality. And so, what is our reality is different to their reality. And I think on a high school level, it's a little bit harder because teens are a lot more emotional, right? And they engage with a lot of various types of content. And so we need to kind of be that space where it's like, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're going through. I went through something similar. I know people who went through it. And this is how we can help you. But also we get DigKit moments. Have you heard of DigKit moments before?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, so these are teachable moments, right? And at my school, I have the privilege of being able to support educators. So educators come to me with various problems and various challenges, different things. And I
Isn't
see this
that
here.
isn't that what principals do?
I'm not a principal. And yeah, so I am on management. I'm let's just say I'm deputizing at my school, right? And you know, I look at the frustration that's built up with educators with regards to things that happen in the classroom. And instead of using these as DigKit moments, so DigKit moment is a teachable moment in the moment, right? Instead of using it, they get frustrated and they just want to report things. And so we need to become more clued up so that when something does happen, instead of reporting and it is something we can handle, let's speak about the boundaries of that, we use that moment to educate. Like, for example, those girls that took photos of the other girl walking in the street with another boy. That was a DigKit moment, an opportunity that I had to tell them, hey, what you're doing is not okay. Okay, Pompey Act. You can't just take photos of people. That's not how things work. And we also need to become bold enough to be able to do that, right? JC, I had a moment, my wife and I, we had date night one night, right? and there was a group of people that decided they're going to have a fun night at a table near us, and they're just going to record the entire restaurant. And the manager was like so proud because his restaurant was getting promoted. And we went up to him and we were like, you have no rights to record us. So you need to kind of tell those people to delete that video. We shouldn't be afraid of doing these kind of things. We shouldn't be afraid of addressing things. It's important that we do, especially when it comes to people, human beings, and their safety and protecting them, especially our kids, right? So we need to incorporate these things into our lessons. We need to find ways to incorporate it. The great thing is that you that's on this platform today, you are a specialist. JC is a specialist in English. Am I correct, JC?
I feel like I'm a casual, but yes, just call me a specialist.
He's a casual specialist. He's a great
casual.
But JC knows his subject well enough to see how he can begin to incorporate it into his subject as teachable moments, right?
But my matrix is actually getting a view into the whole POPI Act, because they have to now do the POPI Act for the department to say that the results can be released to them and all of those things.
Is it?
Yeah, so they actually now understanding that they must get permission to release information, get permission for photos, all of those things. So it's a great teachable moment that I am relaying to them.
And you're using it as
Yeah, I am using it actually.
Okay, so we shouldn't let these moments pass us by. Right. So I put up this little, what do you call this? Maths teachers, all these circles. It's not a diagram.
It's a Venn diagram.
It's a diagram. I'm a history teacher, by the way, so I'm not very smart. I'm highly intelligent, but not very smart. Okay. So what we should
hold on again. Yes. Before we continue into this exciting part now to implement it in the school, please don't forget about the register in the chat. Right, it is added to your SACE points, those valuable points that we always trying to gather. So please don't forget to just spend a minute or two to complete the register.
Yeah,
thank you for the advertisement break.
Yeah, JC and I were told we don't have any points because we do sessions and we never register for our own sessions. So just be aware, you need to register. Okay, so we spoke about this the last time, implementing it on a school level. Right. So when we talk looking at cyberbullying and we're talking about cyber wellness and all of these aspects, there are means and ways for us to introduce it at a school level. I recently had assistants assigned to us or at our school, and I'm sure many of you did too. JC, did you?
No, we didn't.
You didn't? Okay, I'm not going to ask why. Okay, let's just leave it there. Right, but we did. And we had IT assistants assigned. And so I thought, why not do a full Cyber Wellness Day in the last week? So that's something that we are busy planning right now to get the learners here and to create awareness. But what you can also do is you can incorporate it into your lessons. Like JC said, he's got life orientation. It's already in the curriculum, apparently. I don't know which grade. And if somebody does know.
It's not really in the curriculum. It's like a small part of it, not big.
Okay, small part, but not big. But you can elaborate on it. And there is time. I always believe there's time. We can bend time. Right. So then there's the other option of if you are an e-learning transformation agent, and I know there are some agents online today, or if there are moments in the staff room, you can develop some e-learning teacher professional development. And then there's also the WCD Teacher Sidekick that's on the website that I made you aware of last time. But then we look at school-wide programs. Partner with the school, get people in, have assembly talks, right? We are talking about so many different things during our assemblies, but this is like, they call it the brandpunt, I don't know, the focal point of, I don't know if I'm applying that term correctly, in terms of our generation and where they're at and what matters these days, right? Introduce it. We've got many people coming to our schools and speaking to our learners, but start to introduce it, right? You can have cyber wellness ambassadors as learners. Now imagine having learners promoting this, developing posters or videos, various things. Then we have workshops that we can have. We can have various activities and a cyber wellness day. Make it fun, but most importantly, create that awareness. Do something. So let's look at engaging with cyber wellness lessons. Now, when we look at cyber wellness in the classroom, it's a holistic approach to promoting responsible and safe digital behavior while fostering a positive and secure online environment for students and educators. So we need to promote it. It needs to be responsible. It needs to be safe. And we got to get away from the narrative of let's put our phones away because it's disturbing my peace. Let's put our phones away because it's making me feel uneasy. Take your phone out. Let me show you something positive you can do in the classroom. Okay. Right. So Hafisa, this was her baby, and she's very, very passionate about cyber wellness. And she said, empowering learners with cyber safety knowledge through pedagogical integration is not just an option. Pedagogy is our method of teaching. It is an imperative for fostering responsible digital citizens who can navigate the complexities of the digital world with confidence, integrity, and resilience. I love these words. Firstly, this world is quite complex. JC, are you an IT specialist?
Not really, no.
Why?
Because I don't know as much as most people.
Okay. But would you agree the game is constantly changing?
Every single day, especially with AI being around.
Every single day. So this world is complex. And so it's going to be a massive challenge for us as educators going forward. But we need to instill that confidence. We need to have learners that have integrity. And we need to have learners that are resilient. If they face certain things online that has disturbed them, thrown them off, they need to pick themselves up and, go back on, do the right thing, pick themselves up. And so we need to start to encourage that. We're good at doing it in the real world, but how about this digital landscape? So why do we integrate it into our subjects? We need learners to gain a deeper understanding of the implications of their online actions, like we spoke about. We need to look at the ethical responsibilities, right? The way we treat people, the way we act online, what we say, what we do, and to give them the knowledge to make informed decisions. Like I said before, if I want to become the best singer, I'm going to go to the best singer to learn about becoming the best singer. I'm not going to go to a soccer player. And in the same way, they need to see that, hey, my teacher is clued up. My teacher's cool. He or she's got a, connection to this world. They have a certain type of online presence. And so they know what they're talking about, right? I always have a 10-year-old and I tell him all the time, hey, that is going to be an influencer. And I let him watch my videos and he's like, that's cool. Recently, I don't know, JC, we had to create videos. I forgot, hey. And so I let my 10-year-old watch it. And he was very impressed. He was like, yeah, this is a good video. You presented well. And so now we can speak about these things. And soon I saw him creating videos of him playing football, FIFA. And so this is important because this built that connection between the two of us. He doesn't have to hide anything from me. He can trust me, right? So we need engagement. We need critical thinking. We need problem-solving abilities. We can only develop that in our learners if we give them the opportunity to explore. But if we curb them and stop them, that will never be able to be developed. We spoke Saturday. JC, unfortunately, you weren't there.
Thank you for the invite.
Sorry, JC, but next time, I promise. We spoke to the designer, Tensko was there, and she also said some great things about the 21st century learner and how they engage and how they think critically and how they solve problems. And so these are the learners that we are dealing with today. They are challenging. So what are the benefits? It prepares them for the future. We have learners who understand this world, can manage this world, and can lead and guide others. It promotes ethical considerations. The same way I carry myself in the real world, it's the same thing I display in the digital world. They start to think critically about things. They don't just click anything or just agree to anything. Right? They think critically about it. Is this safe? Is it not? Right. Then the interdisciplinary connections. They build up connections with various people, various organizations, and they understand that. And then ensures learners are safe. We need to protect our learners. We need to protect the future generations. We need to empower agency, right? Learners also taking responsibility. And then also enhancing digital literacy. We need to have literate learners. And lastly, develop responsible digital citizens. So this is what we are trying to shape. And as I said before, take a screenshot, take a photo, but this is what we are hoping to achieve. We are hoping to achieve or develop a generation that, understands this world, is confident in this world, applies integrity in this world.
Again?
So, Yes, sir.
We have a comment in the chat from Elmarie van Heerden.
Yes,
They say,
Almarie.
I am very passionate about ICT integration in the classroom. Unfortunately, I was shocked when I started to support multiple schools where the majority of the learners do not have cell phones. We must not forget that the digital divide is real.
The digital divide is real. I do agree with you. I'm actually at a no-fee school currently, and it is tough. And so the challenges are real, but I always make a way. I've been teaching in Visante Kraal, and I'm gonna give away my age. Uh, for 14 years, I've been teaching in Visante Kraal. And so I've had, days where I had connectivity issues, I haven't had devices and all of these things. But the reality is that even though they don't all have cell phones, they're still exposed to this world. And so one day they will maybe acquire a cell phone or device. And we need to prepare them for this. But also, I want to just bring it back is that JC mentioned quizzes, for example. There are a lot of ways to interact digitally offline, right? Paper modes and so forth. And so we even though our learners don't all have devices, do your research on ways to integrate technology in the classroom, but on an offline level, so they can also be exposed to the world out there. Um, Yesterday when I had my QMS, I had quizzes offline, and I deliberately did it offline. We have 20 tablets for our school for all of our learners, but I did it offline because I wanted to make our principal aware of what is possible, how we can connect. Okay, so yes, the reality is there, but the world is changing. And yes, it's taking some time, but we need to remain hopeful and we need to remain positive. But we also need to be prepared because anything can happen. Right, Jesse? I don't know if Jesse's still with us. Okay. So,
Hi again.
yes.
So Kaylin Pfeiffer, hi Kaylin. She says low
Kaylin,
text.
yeah.
Yeah, this is in the chat, bro. She's in the chat.
Let us talk.
She says low tech solutions.
Low
That's
tech
all she says.
solutions. Kaylin's the master of low tech solutions. So if you want to hear about low tech, speak to Kaylin. She presents a lot of sessions on it. Right. So let's look at practical tips in languages. That's where you come in, JC. I think we have about 25 minutes. So good.
Yeah.
Right. So JC spoke about the Poppy Act, right? What you can also do is you can do some reading and analyzing on articles, on news and blogs on cyber wellness. You can do that. Can you do that, JC, in languages?
Yeah, example, when I set up practice comprehensions for the class, I usually do it on things that the kids enjoy reading. So the recent one I did a few weeks back was about cyber wellness. It was about Twitter. It was about Instagram, the dangers and advantages.
Great. And it's still within the boundaries of being suitable for the subject. Right.
Exactly.
Then also writing persuasive essays or opinion pieces on cyber wellness. I know my wife's a language teacher, so you guys can give them the option of the different topics. Am I correct?
Yes, we can for
Three
orals and
options.
essays.
So why not introduce it there and hear the opinions? Uh, a piece on cyber wellness or a piece on cyberbullying, and hear what do they think about it and what is their view of it. And you can use that as an educational moment. Then engaging in online discussions and debates about cyber wellness. Right? You can have online discussions with them. Then also exploring topics like online privacy, your digital footprint. We spoke about the last time. Your digital footprint is similar to your digital or your, what do we call your digital tattoo, right? It remains, it's permanent. Okay. And the impact of social media on people. Then also discussing case studies on cyberbullying. So there's various things that you can do with regards to language. Okay. You can create content, positive online behavior. Did you want to say something, JC?
Again, coming back to that online discussions, like at our school, we make use of Microsoft Teams, and every class or every teacher has a Teams channel for their learners. And a lot of times, I use my Teams channel as a discussion point, especially for my matrics, where I'll put up a quote or a question from a previous exam, maybe about Othello or Dorian Gray, and then we'll have discussion in there about how we tackle the essay. Especially now, since we don't really have classes because it is exams, but it's also a way for them to prep and to bounce off ideas off one another.
That's an awesome idea. But I want to touch on what one of the teachers said earlier about the fact that the reality is that not all learners have devices and not all learners have internet, and that is also true. But I think it's important for you if you're working in those types of communities, which I am, right? Find out, is there a library nearby? Is there a community hall? Is there maybe an organization that's offering free Wi-Fi for the learners? And so you can set something up where one afternoon you can have that kind of thing, and they can go there if it's safe, you know. So those are things that we must start to think about. For me, I'm very funny with my learners. They will tell me they don't have internet at home, and I'll tell them, but the library has internet. Or they will tell me they don't have this, and I'll say, like, but the community hall has this. So I'm very clued up on the community that I work in. And so for me, it's like this no excuse. They're doing research assignments now for grade 11 history, and there's a library, there's a community hall, there is an organization that offers free Wi-Fi. You can come and do your homework there. So find out about these various places, right? Okay, as a history teacher, I'm a history teacher, or even social science, exploring the historical and societal impact of cyberbullying. How has it impacted people over time? History is all about time and influence in time, right? Then investigating laws and regulations related to online safety. Okay, in history, we have the privilege of discussing policies. We have the privilege of discussing economics. We have the privilege of discussing social things, cultural things. So there's various things, ways we can introduce it. Examining the influence of social movements on digital platforms. Okay, so these various things. Studying the role of technology in shaping modern society. Do you know that there was four revolutions? We are now in the fourth industrial revolution, and we are busy dealing with generation alpha. And so this is things that you need to go back and do your research on. I know in grade 8 history, they do the industrial revolution, then they do the mineral revolution, and so forth. So there's lots of things that you can do. And then also researching the development of laws. Then we get to science educators. Are there any science educators in the house? We usually have a lot of respect for them. Any science educators?
Oh, doesn't
No
look like
thumbs up?
any.
Okay, they're probably very busy marking right now. Right. So we have science educators. What can they do? Studying psychological, emotional effects of social media. I love the brain. Saturday, we spoke about the brain a lot and the impact of what we present to learners and that impact on the brain. And that's also cyber wellness. JC, we did a cool design day. And so we spoke to those educators about the impact of what we present to them and how it influences the brain. And we spoke about the diverse learner. So that was really cool. And then we also spoke about researching the technological aspects, also studying physiological and biological reactions to algorithms and social media. Something cool that they said is that some learners come to school with smartwatches, right? Look at those things and how it impacts heart rate and sleep and all of those things. That's cyber wellness, right? Use all the tools at your disposal, all the monitors. So examining the environmental impact of technology. And then mathematics, they're always the supreme educators. Use math to interpret trends in online safety and screen time. So you can use different graphs and diagrams and so forth. Apply probability, ratios, and percentages to assess cyber wellness risk. So introduce that as a topic, and then you apply your formulas and all of those things to that specific topic and that diagram. I don't know if it's making sense what I'm saying, because I'm not a math teacher. Right. And then also gather and analyze data on peers' online habits and cyber wellness. So there's lots of little projects that you can do and that you can be flexible with. Right. And this is JC, I'm an artist.
Since when?
Since always, JC. I have a portrait of Batman hanging in my office.
That you painted?
That I painted. So when the learners are naughty, they step into my office and they see Batman and they know they're in trouble now. But yeah, let's look at art and media. What can we do? We can create digital artwork. This holiday, I don't want to give away too much, but we are going to have some professional development sessions. And so jump onto those sessions because there's some exciting things coming your way, right? So we speak about digital artwork. Yes, in creative arts, we do drawings and all of those things. But what about designing? Why not? Why not have some fun with it? Why not take them onto Canva and do some digital posters and infographics? Why not have videos that you create? Exploring the representation of cyberbullying or online safety issues. You can even have these kids design the posters for your Cyber Wellness Day. So there's lots of things you can do. Critically analyzing and deconstructing media messages. So yeah, that is just a brief description of what you can do, right? The world is your oyster, and you need to get to know your subject. I have a lot of respect for educators who become so passionate about these subjects, they believe they want to become specialists. So when you become a specialist, that is ultimately when you have the time to introduce all of these things and have a different way of doing things. Now, I have a cool Padlet here. I want you to scan it, please. And there's a question, and I want you to post. You can post anonymously, right? So I'm just going to give you guys an opportunity to scan quickly. JC, have you scanned?
I've scanned again.
You've scanned. I hope Kaylin has scanned and Tenska has scanned and many others, right? Because I'm very curious to hear feedback. Okay. Just giving it a bit of time. Okay. We've got a post already. So I'm going to show the posts now. There's nobody else that wants to scan. Nobody else, nobody else, nobody else. Okay, let's get into it. Right, so the question was, how can we integrate cyber wellness into the curriculum subjects? Right, if you haven't scanned yet, please let JC know in the chat, right? So that I can take you back to that QR code and then you can scan it. So we can add it into the curriculum. Right? That's one thing that we can do. Is there any other ways? Think about your subject. How can we add it to the various subjects? How can we introduce it? You've now seen various ways that we can do it. Is there anything else that you maybe want to share of how we can introduce it into the curriculum? Remember, as I said before, JC and I, we do not know everything. And so we are also here to learn. And it's important that you also share so that we can start to develop the model going forward. JC, have you posted anything yet?
Not yet. I'll post now.
Okay, we are still waiting. Please share your thoughts. Oh, there's a long one. Is that you, JC?
No, that's not me. I'm still busy typing.
It's not you. This is awesome. Okay, let's read this. Embed in existing subjects. Okay. English language arts. Analyze online behavior in media or stories. Write reflections on opinion pieces on digital issues. Okay, then social studies. Discuss digital citizenship, ethics, privacy. I love social science. You can discuss everything. And online responsibilities. Then in computer studies, you can introduce it. Go beyond the technical skills to include, it's jumping around now, to include, where am I now? Topics like online safety, scams, privacy. And then with regards to health, include discussions on screen time. I love that. We never mentioned that, right? Hey? Yesterday, my boy was like, I came home and I was like, okay, you can play some PlayStation now. And he was like, no, I want to go kick the ball outside. I was like, this is the one time I want him to have some screen time. And now he wants to play soccer outside. But there needs to be a balance with regards to screen time. Hey, you can't have him sitting in front of the screens all the time. It's not healthy. I also see with myself, I wear spectacles. Yeah, it takes a strain on your eyes. Then let's look at a couple of other things. It says...
So Kaylin says that she's currently watching on her phone, so she typed the response in the chat. And Kaylin says, so life skills, we teach public safety. We can add cyber wellness onto the grade 3 life skills.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We can. Right, so I want to go through these other couple of posts. Encourage students to create awareness campaigns or posters, design digital wellness toolkits, simulate real world. I love that one. Simulate real world cyber scenarios and role play responses. Don't we have in languages and creative arts, they must do dramas and poems and all of these things? Look at that. We can introduce it. Develop school-wide initiatives or peer-led workshops. And then was another one. cross-curricular and whole school approach, train teachers to model and reinforce digital etiquette. I love that one. We spoke about it earlier. Teachers should begin to model it. Digital etiquette, the way we address each other online, the way we address, and I'm sure we are already addressing parents in the correct manner. And so the way we communicate online and what we post. I've seen teachers post things they should not be posting. JC, I don't know if you've seen that. And I get really worried and think, do they not know that the whole school community has access sometimes to what they're posting and things just go viral, right?
Exactly.
There was a challenge when I was in class and I was busy and everybody just pretended like they were gonna fight and then they all just froze. I don't know if you saw that. Apparently it's a TikTok challenge.
No, I
And
haven't.
then,
I'm actually not on
then
TikTok, so I don't know.
okay, so I heard this is a TikTok because I was thinking, oh, what is going on in my classroom? But apparently they planned this. So they all froze in a different position, like they were fighting, tears in their hands, and I was like, what is going on? But then there was a child recording everything, and I thought to myself, this is so cool. And I even said in the video, this is so cool. Just for me to see the next day someone else has the video. And it looked like I planned this. So I'm planning this World War III in my classroom. And I'm saying this is so cool. And that could be so misinterpreted. Right.
It
Then
is. Were you saying so cool for the fight or what?
no, the fact that they froze, man.
I thought you were like, it's so cool. They're fighting and their phones out, almost like, oh, this is now a teachable moment about not sharing stuff.
I was like, what is going on? Everybody froze. Okay, so yeah, we can have school-wide campaigns. We can invite guest speakers, um, and then there are different things: create awareness, posters, toolkits, and various things. So there's so much that we can do, and thank you guys for the post. I love it, um, and I appreciate it. And hopefully, we are writing these things down so when we do go back into our classroom, we are applying it, right? And it's not just things that we are just talking about, but things that we will genuinely apply in the classroom and connect with each other, right? Connect, right? So, right, cyber wellness. I think we have the last 10 minutes, right? So we should empower our learners to leverage technology, right? Effectively. As I said, promote it in the classroom. Don't say no. Okay, say no to the wrong things, but having a cell phone, having a device in the classroom, you using ICT integration, incorporating it in your classroom, that's not wrong. That's good. That's healthy. That's positive. Show them how positive it can be. Okay, teach them about what is credible and what is not. I mean, we see so many things with AI these days. I don't know what to believe. I've seen so many speeches of Cristiano Ronaldo these days. I was like, man, is this guy really saying this or not? Because I don't even know anymore. It's hard to discern. But these things are happening. This is what our learners are growing up in. Okay. Manage their online presence, maintain a healthy balance between screen time, like I said, and other activities. So, what advantages do we have with mobile devices? It is positive, guys. They can access information, but you can guide them to the right information. You can teach them how to communicate. You can teach them how to collaborate. We always speak to educators about collaborating. What about learners collaborating? What about them doing the projects online together? Then they can personalize their learning. Okay, have their own profile, have their own projects, right? Resource efficiency. Now we can do research better. Then digital literacy, okay, how they operate online and so forth. Then engagement and motivation. We can teach them how to engage and we can motivate them in the right way. So you guys, you are superheroes. JC, you know you're a superhero, right?
I feel like one, but thank you.
You are. I don't know if you're Superman or Batman. Oh yeah, but
I feel like I'm
you
Robin. Remember we Batman and Robin? You Batman,
yes.
I'm Robin.
Apparently so. I'm Batman, that heavy title. Okay. So real world connections and applications. And then also organization and productivity. So lots of things we can do. Preparation for future um, careers. And then what's the role? Our role. Teach and model digital empathy. Promote cyber ethics. Okay. Promote digital citizenship. Encourage critical thinkers. We want learners to challenge and ask questions. This is good. This is healthy. Because if you can understand what they are thinking, you can guide them in the right direction. Teach and understand the online disinhibition effect. I think we spoke about that the last time, the disinhibition effect. Okay. Um, And so I'll get back to that one now because it's eluding me right now. It's slipping away. But technology can become the wings that can allow the educational world to fly farther and faster than ever before if we allow it. So guys, we should be the custodians. We should allow it. Okay. Then lastly, just a couple of interactive tools. I showed you Interland the last time, a couple of games that you can play. There's also Minecraft for education. You can explore that. So you can scan it right now with your phone. We do not have a lot of time. We only have 7 minutes. So I'm not going to get into it. But I want you to go there. I want you to explore Minecraft for education. I want you to explore Interland. If you were on the last time, you saw how cool Interland is and what you can achieve with games. So when I thought about this, JC, I thought about today and I thought about, we as educators, we should become creative in the classroom. The way we present things, the way we engage with our learners, because at the end of the day, this also creates a form of cyber wellness. If we do not have technology in the classroom, how are we going to go about this? So I always say I'm the imposter, JC, hey? And but you know what? I challenge myself to present things in the classroom. I challenge myself to do things. And the kids love it. They love it when I make mistakes too. It's okay. Right? But I do it because I want them to feel safe to see, hey, sir's also got it. He's also clued up. Right. Then there's some cool articles that you can go and you can scan and read on your own time. So if you want to scan the QR code, you can. Jason will
And
also put
the
these
link is in
links
the
down.
chat, yeah.
We'll put these links down in the chat. So educate yourself. There's so much coming out all the time. So much about AI, so much about the influence on human beings. And we need to read and educate ourselves. Right. And there are things in place. Right. So we've entered the last 5 minutes of our session today. This is actually perfect timing, hey?
It's brilliant, actually. I'm shocked.
Brilliant. Okay, so are there any questions or anything anybody wants to share that they've maybe learned or not sure about in this session? Now's the opportunity. Is there anything you want to share in the chat or maybe put up your hand?
Oh.
Anything?
Nothing yet in the chat.
Okay, so
Nothing
when
yet.
we spoke about the disinhibition effect, it speaks about that quote of Miles Monroe about being advanced cavemen, is that not having control over your impulses and your emotions online. So yeah, I think this is really something that it's highly underestimated and not valued enough in schools. And so we see a lot of sessions being presented, but all of those sessions don't matter until we have, until we understand the importance of creating awareness in cyber wellness and being able to educate on it. So yes, we can become the best Canva person. Yes, we can become the best ClassPoint, Book Creator, all of these different apps that we use. But at the end of the day, I think what's most important is, and I said this Saturday, is that we are shaping individuals. We are shaping them for purpose. We are shaping them for future, for the future. They're going to become citizens of society and digital citizens. And so we play a big role in who they become. And so we should use these moments and not underestimate our role in their process. Still nothing, JC?
Nothing yet, Dagan.
Okay. I don't know if there's anything that you want to share.
Oh, there is one comment. Taneska says thank you. A lot of clapping hands and celebratory caps.
Thank you, Tenska. And that's Tenska. She corrected me.
Tenska.
Yes, Stenska. So
Oh.
yes. But thanks, Tenska. Appreciate it. I hope you also got something from that. And I hope this. I always think this session hits the heart more than it hits the head. And so I hope it hits your heart, and I hope you realize that we need to start caring about our learners a lot more than we think. And it requires a massive sacrifice and a lot of bravery on our part to be able to do that. Because also when I got into this space, it was scary for me because, I didn't know a lot, but I was willing to learn. And so I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to share because I want our kids to, be adults that are well-informed, clued up adults that have certain models and certain values, and they carry it and they portray it. And so we have a responsibility to look after our society.